This video is about how to configure the ports using COMMANDO 2000 and 3000 series switch CLI. So let's start. COMMANDO switches are having four types of ports: access port, trunk port, hybrid ports and tunnel ports. So you can see that by giving the command configure terminal and going to any port, let us say G5, and switch port mode, you can see these four types of ports can be configured with the COMMANDO switches. So access ports, by default the setting is access port, and access port belong to only one VLAN. Traffic arrived on the access port is assumed to belong to the VLAN assigned to the port generally assigned to VLAN 1. These ports by default are members of VLAN 1. Then trunk ports. Trunk port carries the traffic of multiple VLANs and by default is a member of VLAN, all VLANs, and typically used for connection between the switches. Hybrid ports allows multiple VLAN through it, receive and send multiple VLAN packets, but used to connect between switches as well as PCs, laptops and computers in the switch. Then tunnel ports are used in 802.1q tunneling to segregate the traffic of customers in a service provider network from one user to another user who appears to be on the same VLAN. Tunnel ports cannot be the trunk ports or access port and must belong to a VLAN unique for each customer. So by default mode is access. I can verify the interface status by giving the command show interface status of G5. So this port is up and I can see the settings and the counters of these ports by giving this show interface command. This is a very important command for troubleshooting purpose. If it is down means there is some problem with this connectivity of this port or this port may be shut down. So shutdown is a command to shut down this interface. So configure terminal, interface G5. If I give the command shutdown, this port will be in the down state. So now this port is in the down state. If I give the no shutdown command, it will be enabled and it will be the up state. So configure terminal, interface G5 and no shutdown. So this will make this port up. Then description command is to give the port name to identify it easily. If description includes space character, but please use double quotes to wrap it. So you can give the descriptions for this port. Let us say for interface G5, configure terminal, interface G5, description, and I say user port. I can verify this also by giving show interface G5 command. So you can see now the name of the port or description of the port is changed to the user port. Next, you can also configure the and clear the counters of this port by giving the command clear interface G5 counters. So these counters will be resetted to 0. So I can see this. Now this counter has resetted to 0 and again they start counting the things. To modify the port speed and duplex configuration, we have to go to configuration by configure T command and then say interface G5 and duplex, let us say full, and speed 1000. This will forcefully make this port to have speed of 1000 Mbps or 1 Gbps and duplex to full. You can also configure back pressure flow control mechanism, in which switch causes a transmitting device to hold off on the sending data packets until the switch bottleneck is solved. In order to create back pressure, the switch either broadcasts false collision detection signal or send packet back to the original device if the buffer is full. So we will configure a back pressure on this interface. Just give the command back pressure, enter, and it will be configured. You can also configure a EEE, which is energy efficient Ethernet feature, by giving the command EEE. You can also have the flow control command to change the port flow control configuration. So flow control can be auto, off, or on. So on means enable the flow control. Let's enable the flow control for this port. You can also set the jumbo frame. So by default, the standard maximum transmission unit of 1500 bytes MTU are sent with the help of Ethernet frame. Jumbo frame is used to support 1 Gbps and have the frame size up to 10,000 bytes. Use jumbo frame command to modify the maximum frame size. So I want to make the frame size to my requirement according to. So I have to go to global configuration, say jumbo frame, and I can set up to 10,000 so that the frame size will be changed from default of 1500 bytes to 10,000 bytes. I can make any port to the protected port, or I can make it as a unprotected port. So protected port is only allowing to communicate with the unprotected port. In other words, protected port is not allowed to communicate with another protected port. So this is a security feature I can implement in the switch. Let us say I want to make interface G5 as a protected port. So I just have to give the command protected. Then when a port is in error disable state, it is effectively shut down and no traffic is sent and received on that port. Error disable feature is implemented to handle the critical situations where switch detect excessive or late collision on a port duplex misconfiguration, ether channel misconfiguration, BPDU port guard violation, unidirectional link detection, and other issues. Error detectable function lets the switch to shut down a port when it encounters physical, driver, or configuration problems. A port being error disabled is not by itself a cause of alarm, but for a reason of a problem that must be solved. When the port is in error detectable state, it will be shut down and no traffic will be sent or received on that port. So how to enable the port error disable recovery from, let us say, STP, BPDU guard, and self loop cause. So I have to go to the global configuration mode and say error disable recovery, and you can see there are cause for error recovery. So there are a lot of things are there. Let us say I want to go for BPDU guard. It's most commonly used. And another I also want error disable recovery cause self loop. So I want to get recovery from these states, and the recover timer is error disable recovery interval. I want to set 60 seconds. So show error disable recovery will show you the settings for that. So you have enabled the BPDU and self loop, and timer interval you are set to 60 seconds. Port security helps to secure the network by preventing unknown devices from forwarding packets. When a link goes down, all dynamically locked addresses are freed. By using port security, user can limit the number of MAC address that can be learned to a port. Set the static MAC address and set some rules that port if it causes an unauthorized user to access it. So you can limit the addresses, MAC addresses learned and allowed to send the traffic for individual switch port. You can limit the number of MAC address on a given port, and also the packets having matching MAC addresses which to be forwarded. All the packets of unsecured packets are restricted. So you can set the port security by giving the command configure terminal port security, and after that you have to go to the interface, say port security, and you can see MAC address limit. Let us say I want to make the address limit, let us say I want maximum 3 addresses, and if this is violated, so I have to set the action also port security violation, and I can have protect, restrict and shut down. Protect means this port will be discarding or drop the packet from unknown sources. Restrict means drop packet with unknown sources and address and cause the security violation counter to increment, and shutdown means put the interface into error disabled state immediately. You can recover from these states by no shutdown command. So violation, protect, let us say I want to shut down if this port, if the port security is violated. You can verify this with the help of command show port security. So you can see it is enabled, the rate is 100 pps, and right now there is no such things are happening in the switch. So with this video you can configure the ports of commando switches to different modes, as well as you can forcefully make it speed and duplex setting, and can send the E, and you can also set the jumbo frames and the port security for commando switches. Thank you.